gonna see here, so I see it online, and then we'll just see if it's streaming, and.
No, Ruth, you're more panty. You're making us feel.
I'm starting to hyperventilate.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We're good.
Us.
Trust me, I saw KSU's one just.
No, they're there.
If it's working, then people.
All right,
That's this. Especially if you're small.
just, I'm gonna see if the audio is coming through, just
Yeah.
say who you are, Ruthie, just for.
My name is Dr. Ruthie Bosch. How do I know when I'm supposed to start?
He will say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like being on TV. Yuck.
It is being
All right. Yeah.
YouTube is worse than
Yep, hold
TV.
you, that's good. All right, I think we're going.
Good morning and welcome to JMU. We have been working really hard on these professional development modules, just like you have. So we hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. There you go, Fernanda.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to talk about student engagement. Sorry. For this session, we will have a general overview of the professional module we have developed during the semester and work with one activity we have chosen that gives you a small idea, a small part of our work. Those who have put work in this together are Fernanda from Brazil,
Shema from Malaysia.
Buzongo from Ghana.
okay? Please, Shema. So, the title of our PDM, How to Increase Student Engagement in Large Classes, says much about our main concern. Having a student engaged almost 100% of the class is a challenge for teachers everywhere. So our main concern, our main purpose with this workshop is to help teachers think of strategies they can use in their classrooms to have students engaged most of the time. So this professional module is divided in 3 parts. Buzu is going to speak about the first one.
In section 1, we shall be looking at the concept of engagement. When we talk about engagement, what it means, and what are some of the aspects that you will be looking at anytime you are in your classroom to know whether your students are engaged or not engaged. So we believe that as you are watching us, you are keenly engaged.
Okay. Session 2, the participants will learn 3 different strategies they can use in their classrooms to increase student engagement. The strategies covered in this module are scaffolding, learning through mini projects and tasks, and higher order thinking skills. Session 3.
For session 3, all the participants will create one lesson plan based on the activities or strategies that we have taught in session 2, whereby they will use scaffolding, learning through mini project tasks, and HOTS. Using that, they will apply it on their own content area, creating a lesson plan.
So before we start our activity, it's important to understand what engagement means. Engagement can be understood as how a person behaves towards a task. The more involved, the more motivated, the more engaged. Next one, please. So when a person is engaged, we can feel that he or she shows attention, passion, curiosity, interest. And when someone is not engaged, is disengaged, we can feel passivity, boredom, disaffection. And in school settings, it works this way. Next one, please. In school settings, students' engagement is very important because it reveals students' motivation in relation to learning and important outcomes. Now, we will start with our transition activity. Shema, please.
Okay, as you know, our PDM comprises of strategy from hot, scaffolding, and learning through mini projects. But for this particular presentation, we are only going to touch on one part of it, which is the transition activity. So this is a transition activity whereby we are going to use the four-corner chart. Four-corner chart is a chart organizer. It's a graphic organizer which can be used to engage students. So we could be English teacher or mathematics or science teacher. Basically, we can use this chart to introduce students to any topic, and we believe that it could actually engage students. So if you see here, today we are going to demonstrate to you a mini activity which is called Who Are You? It is basically all our participants will need to choose a key concept and then they will present it through the chart organizer. My friend Bozu will introduce you this graphic organizer using different content area.
Thank you. As you have seen on the board and as the earlier speakers have alluded to, using the four-corner chart can be used for different purposes. You can use it to introduce a lesson. You can use it to review a lesson. You can use it to even organize games for your students in your classrooms. Don't forget, the key word here is engagement. Now, let's go into a science class shortly, and let's see how we can use the four-corner chart. Assuming that you are a chemistry teacher or a science teacher and you have introduced your students to the periodic table, they have learned about all the properties of the various elements that we have in the periodic table in terms of the groups. Then I ask them, looking at all the elements that you have, I will give them a range of elements as you saw in the earlier slide. They should select one of the elements that best represents them. So from the first corner chart, we are talking about elements. Then the student happens to choose helium. If the students should choose helium, all that I want for them to do, first of all for me, is they should let me have a graph, something to represent helium, a diagram to represent helium. Now, you see how our students are curious. Somebody can go ahead to draw this spaceship. Now, the moment the person draws this, from every indication, it means that the person is seriously thinking about the concept or what the person has chosen. That is the helium. The person has drawn it, and I'll then ask them, why have you decided to choose helium? Why do you say helium represents you? Then the person will say that I have chosen helium because helium is a noble gas. And who doesn't want to be noble? Then you want to be noble. Then I will ask them, why have you said that you want to pick helium and you are saying it's noble? The student will begin to tell you that it is noble. When something is noble in terms of what it stands for, it means that when you even provoke that person, the person wants to keep its dignity. It will not react. Helium does not react, and you know why it doesn't react. Here, all that you are doing is they are thinking about helium. Then I will then ask them, after you have chosen all, you have decided to say you are helium, what are the uses of helium? I am putting the student in the place of the helium. That is application, high order thinking. Now the student will say that it is used in airships, it is used in filling balloons. In fact, if you go further, you will see that where you have low temperature regions, helium can conduct better than the copper wire. That is in cryogenesis. Those who are into science, they know what we are talking about. Here, the student is satisfied. Student is inside helium, and that is engaging enough. So this is our first corner chart that we have used. We'll show you another one very soon that is going to be in English.
Okay, hi. So let's just say that we are all English teacher in an English classroom. As we know, many of us teach in a large classrooms, and we have students with mixed abilities in our classroom. So this four-corner chart will be very engaging for students if we want to introduce them to any concepts. For example, I'm an English teacher and I'm going to teach them on, for example, here if you see it's punctuation. So depending on my students, depend on their ability. For example, today I'm just going to teach them on comma, question mark, and hyphen. So I will introduce them and tell them what is it about. And on the second corner chart, I will ask them to draw a punctuation which best represent them. We should not ask students, like tell them to draw a specific thing. Let them flow in their own creativity. This is what learning is about. So if you see here, a student draw a smiley face with lot of question marks. The third column, the question will be, why did you choose this? So basically, the students need to answer the question. Why did they choose question mark? So if you look here, they wrote, because I'm a very curious person, because I like to ask questions. So these type of things actually make students to think outside of the box, rather than we just telling them, this is what you use question mark for. This is what you use it for. Let them think. And the last column, what is question mark used for? To doubt, to indicate doubt or uncertainty. Let them write anything they want to write, because this is just an introduction to a particular concept or a particular topic.
Well, this activity is a transition activity from Module 1 to Module 2, and it works with some key concepts and key vocabularies of the participants' content areas. These concepts will be covered in the next 2 modules. As my friends already said, this 4-corner chart can be used with different subjects and different purposes. We can use it with a more academic approach when we are teaching new concepts or new content, and we can use it with a more affective approach, because students feel engaged when you give them the chance to give their opinion, to speak by themselves in the classroom. So it's also an engaging activity when we let them give their opinions. In this activity, you have the handout, right? 1.4. So, for this activity, you are going to write your content area in the center circle. In the first corner, you will select a concept or idea in your content area that best represents you. Apart from the examples already given, a history teacher can, for instance, choose a specific period or date. A PE teacher, a specific sport. A geography teacher, a specific landscape, and so on. After choosing this key concept, in corner 2, you're going to draw a picture that represents this key concept. And in the third corner, very briefly, you are going to explain why you decided, why you choose this concept. You can use a sentence, words, a word, or another drawing, if you prefer. And in the last corner, corner 4, you are going to explain what this content means in your life, or any other important information that you consider that is worth to share, right? As I said, for this activity, we choose to have a more effective approach in order to get to know each other better, but it can be used with more academic purposes in a classroom of any content subjects. Okay? You will have 10 minutes, from 5 to 10 minutes to do it, and then after we are going to ask volunteers to share what you have written. Any question? Here we have another examples we have done in our classroom, in our academic seminar classroom. Just to illustrate, to give you some ideas, because we have worked and it was a very interesting class. This is an English example. A teacher choose personification as the content that best represents her, and she drew a cell phone, a lamp that shows idea, And this symbol here, I know this teacher, and she uses a lot of technology to communicate. And then she wrote, I wish my phone was my friend. I imagine a world filled with talking, walking, and smiling gadgets. And what it means in her life, personification. Literary device, give life to non-living things. Another example, Shema, math example, do you have? Can you explain, please, Puzu?
Now, as we are drawing or trying to look at the concept, please be engaged, but this one is just to add something to what you are already doing. Now, this is a math teacher who also decided to choose inequality as, what he thinks represents him. And you have seen the drawing here. They are all on the same level, but you have seen they see things differently due to their height. Now, that student or that teacher is telling us that when you look at this, the inequality best represents him because sometimes you achieve your target, other times you go above it, sometimes below it, and that is life. And I hope as you are doing your exercise on the four-corner chart, some will achieve high targets, some low, some medium. And you have seen that why the person is saying he is interested in inequality is that to achieve balance and know how to adjust. Everybody wants to adjust to fit well into a society. And my colleagues who are viewing me, my colleague ILEPers, you have seen that we have to adjust to the situation in the United States here. So that is inequality. So I think that at least as we are trying to adjust, we are talking about a concept. And let us see, let your students see the link between what they do in school and what is in the society. That is more proactive way of teaching instead of always looking at just academic. We are doing academics because we want to link it to the environment and ourselves. Now, you have also seen somebody here talking about radioisotopes. The person has picked radioisotopes. And those who are into physics, you know what radioisotopes are. We want to use radioisotopes for the peaceful purposes. Now, if you look at the second corner chart, you have seen the person has drawn a diagram and you have seen sparks going out of it. And that is radioactivity. The person can say that because I have taken this one, I easily react. You have seen in corner 3, I easily react. This person is not noble, he easily reacts. Now, why have you said that, or why do you think it is important? The person has said it's a source of energy and it can be used in the treatment of what? Cancer, which is very important. Now, I hope our participants are done with. So we want to invite the participants to share their views. No,
No, you can sit there.
yes.
Because of the microphone, I think he should go near.
Okay. Why do you?
Where's
The people won't see this.
Okay, so I picked chemistry and the concept of polarity and drew a water molecule because we know water has a lot of polarity, which makes it act very different from any other liquid found on our planet. And why this is important, well, water is needed for all life processes, and I love water. I love to be in it and around it, swimming in it, boating on it, and it's important because it does the principles of adhesion and cohesion, which we need.
Exactly. Now, can we have more examples to share with our participants who are not with us here? Now, this is another participant
Okay,
who is going to share with us.
I chose the content area of assessment, and in the top corner, I put the symbol for the mean, or the arithmetic average, And then I showed in the corner number 2 how the mean basically represents the average point of a distribution. In corner 3, all characteristics are normally distributed, but tend to be summarized as the average. And this is really relevant for me because we lose sight of individual differences and treat the mean as though it's some sort of standard instead of focusing on the individuals that comprise the distribution. And if I stood up beside Bozu, you would see why I am the poster girl for the argument against one size fits all. And as a teacher of teachers, I think that that is fundamentally important.
Thank you. I believe you also have beautiful concept that you have drawn. Now let's get another participant to share with us what.
Okay, I'm an English major, and so I have to step in. Oh, God. Okay, I chose English, the concept for shadowing, which is the hints of what might happen that you find in a story, play, or film. So the way that it represents me is because I like to pay a very close attention to the space I'm in, so I can anticipate what might happen. And the way that it helps me in my life is that it helps me to be ready emotionally to deal with situations and people.
Thank you.
Are 2 examples?
Okay.
Are 2 examples?
No.
Do you have time?
Yes. Okay. Another example?
So the content area that I drew is adolescent literacy, and the concept is application. So I drew a picture of reading and then thinking and then applying, innovating and reflecting with your students, among your students in a cycle. And so I said this concept of application best represents me because we read to apply to current learning and to living. And so in my life, this means that I have to put the book down and then read to learn and then to act and live. And in my job, I encourage teachers to use text to teach in varied ways.
Thank you. Awesome.
Okay.
Now, you have seen this and all. Let's look at this example. You have seen that as we have been talking, it is not only for you to just create the affection, but it can be used for more academic and even analytical thinking. Look at this. You have a number of sentences here. And here, the person decided to pick this sentence, this number sentence that says that 2 sides are equal. This person is supposed to put a diagram to depict equality. And you have seen the beam here. Figures to your left are equal to the figures to the right. Now, look at corner 4. Corner 4 here, you have different scenarios of equality, either to the left or to the right. If a student is able to write 2 plus 3 is equals to 5, which is the same thing as 5 is equals to 3 plus 2, then it means that the person actually understands the concept of equality. Challenge your students. And corner 4, you can use corner 4 to challenge them. And the challenge here is that I have written 2 plus 9 is equals to 20. You have challenged the students. I believe when you saw this, you were wondering why 2 plus 9 is equals to 20. That student who is highly engaged, as we have said in our introduction, is curious, always try to question things that happen around the person. And the student will tell you that 2 plus 9 is not equal to 20. Here, you can now begin to introduce your alphabets. Instead of putting 9, you can put X. Instead of putting 9, you can put Y. And the equation that the student will be able to link these figures to the formulas that we have in our classrooms. And I believe that as teachers and as people who are aspiring to engage, always devise ways that can make the engagement more lively in class. Now, we hope you have enjoyed this our session. This is just the tip of the iceberg. More is enshrined in the whole model. And I believe that those of you watching us from far and those who are around us, we hope our teachers back at home are also watching us. We are coming with a very good package for them. People from Ghana, people from Malaysia, people from Brazil, you are in. Our students will never remain the same. Let's get them engaged. We thank you very much. Now, any question? From those who are far and near, we are looking for questions.
There's not any questions, because the comment topic is excellent. I always fight for it because I have 70 or more students in my class. Thanks for choosing the topic, friends. I like the strategy because it helps students to think more. And some comments about the text, and I'll explain for that.
Do you guys have any questions that they can repeat so the others can hear?
I have a comment, and that is, I'm really pleased to see reliance on just simple pencil and paper, and not a strong emphasis on multimedia, that most of us deal very simply in terms of our instructional materials that we have available to us. So I'm really glad to see something that any teacher anywhere can utilize.
Thank you, Prof.
I would like to piggyback on that comment by saying I think also by boiling this down to paper pencil, you've really focused more on what the students are doing rather than being distracted by technology, which is a great thing. It's helping us reach all of you today. But this really gets down to, like you said, what are the students actually doing and thinking?
Thank you. Another comment?
I wanted to point out that those square 3 and 4, especially if you have a class of 50, 70 students, but square 3 and 4 are the squares that will allow you to know a little bit more about your students. Those are the most important squares in this particular activity. It's going to put a face, it's going to put something on the face of every one of those students.
Thank you.
I have a question, particularly I drew attention to the math example where the students were writing word sentences in addition to using the numbers. Do you see teachers ready to use that, writing words and thoughts in any language when it comes to learning math?
Okay. Yes, it's in mathematics, especially if you come to sets, the set that we normally try, you draw a Venn diagram. Normally, you give the wording in English. In fact, I can't even say it's a sentence, sometimes a number of paragraphs. And the student is supposed to now take the mathematics from the wording that you have put to draw a diagram with figures inside. So mostly it happens. And one good aspect about this concept is that you can be teaching so many things at the same time. The English aspect is catered for, the mathematics aspect is catered for, and even the moral, when we were talking about the noble gases. So all these things are together. In fact, it is one in all, as my people in Ghana will say. Any other comment? Okay, we thank you very much for your attention.
Obrigada.
Terima kasih.
Bye-bye.